I've been talking about this one for a while, and here we finally are. We're doing a review of a 2006 Aston Martin DB9 Volante in meteorite silver. Brand new, this car was $182,000, and it's not surprising for how beautiful and exotic it looks. The funny thing about Aston Martin is when people stop and look at one, it's not because it's crazy looking like a Lamborghini, it's because the lines on it are just beautiful. And this particular model is no exception to that. The interior has a dark leather camel look to it. The exterior is just flawless with these grain flow forged wheels. They're 19 inches wrapped in Michelin Pilot Super Sports. It's just an incredible looking car, and for how old this is, again, it's a 2006, it doesn't really look dated at all. Even if you put a brand new one beside it, it wouldn't look dated. What surprised me most about this car is if you think about $182,000, there's no way you could afford that. Even with depreciation, you'd think, no way. This model right here was purchased for the same price as a fully loaded Ford Focus RS. Now there is a catch to that. It's the maintenance. The maintenance is extremely expensive. For example, just for a simple oil change, it costs $1,300. Also, being in Western Pennsylvania, the closest Aston Martin dealership is in Cleveland, Ohio. So you'd have to drive all that way, spend $1,300, and then drive all the way back just to get the oil changed. Luckily, the owner is smart enough to know how to do all the service himself, so that saves a lot of money. But if you're someone like me who thinks, well, I could afford that car, but the maintenance would run me right into the ground. Enough about that, let's get in the car and drive it. So the car has a top speed of 180 miles per hour, does 0 to 60 in under 5 seconds. Under the aluminum hood, there's a 444 horsepower V12, mated to either a Graziano 6-speed manual, or what this one has is a ZF 6HB26 6-speed automatic with paddle shift controlled. Both transmissions are mounted between the rear wheels, and this gives the car an almost perfect balance. This specific model is about 100 pounds heavier than the coupe because it obviously is a convertible. It also has navigation and Bluetooth, and the trunk even has a trickle charger and an umbrella. And I feel like the Bluetooth is really ahead of its time for 2006. Maybe I'm not remembering correctly, but it just seems like an advanced technology from all the way back then. You might be wondering, why is an Aston Martin priced so much higher than something like a Mercedes SL65? Let me give you one example. This wood here, which is on the doors, it's also on the center console, which hides the navigation screen that pops up, is all pulled from the same branch of the same tree to make sure the pattern and grain color is as consistent as possible. It's little details like that that Aston Martin takes, which is why you pay a premium over a company like Mercedes or BMW for a sports car that they offer that is supposedly equivalent. Also, the leather is even another step up. It's another notch up from what you'd get in something like that. So let's take this thing for a drive. Something I actually got used to pretty quickly was there's no shifter here. It's just all buttons up top. So you hit a drive. Well, we're on some back roads right now, and these are the Pennsylvania roads that I love to rave about. That sound itself is worth the money. Oh God, is that incredible. You know, even on a road like this, it still feels pretty solid. It is bumpy. You feel the wheel going back and forth, and you can feel the weight of the car. This is a grand touring car, so going on a road like this is not where it's supposed to be. It's much better for roads like out west, just bombing down straightaways and having that unlimited power to be able to unleash. That's where this car is great. But you might as well test it on roads where it shouldn't be great to see how it performs. Jump on those brakes. This transmission is very impressive. I didn't expect you know, I hear about, I'm personally, and I've said this, can't hear. I've said this a million times, is I'm all about manual transmissions and rowing your own gears. This ZF is so smooth and so responsive, it makes you feel like you're still, you know, hitting the clutch and shifting the gear. It feels mechanical, and I really like that. The shifts are also, so I hit it, it's pretty automatic. There's not really any lag. It's really disappointing when a car like this has the option for the paddle shifting and it's not responsive. This is responsive. Even for a 2006, I'm very pleased and impressed with this, and it would be nice to have this when you want to put it in sport mode. Maybe you live in the city and you don't want to be driving a manual transmission all the time. I can understand that, and that's why you would buy a car like this with the paddle shifting option and the ZF transmission. And I can tell you that they've done a nice job with that, and it's held over time. The other day I reviewed that Porsche 911 Carrera C4. Now that has the PDK transmission. I think the ZF is probably the second best out on the market right now. Let me know what else, you know, is out there that I might be missing, but of what I've driven, those two seem to be, PDK seems to be, you know, a step up, but it's also a lot newer. This has been excellent. The suspension, like I said, on a road like this, it's really not bad. The seats are very comfortable. They look beautiful too. They're bolstered, they're sporty, and they're not grabbing me like crazy, but they're keeping me in place and they don't feel too firm. Again, just did an excellent job with that. So if you put aside the maintenance on this thing, yes, it's a fairly affordable car. Not practical, you can't put the kids in the back even though there are two seats back there. But the price is just amazing, and I think that's the beauty of cars from this time frame is they're in a lull right now. It's a buyer's market, but you do have to understand the cost of maintaining these things, and that's what scares someone like me away from getting a second car like an Aston Martin. But just driving these back roads with the roof open, I mean, and having that sound come out of the back of the car, there's not many cars that are going to give you that driving experience. I say, yeah, you can get this price the same as a Focus RS, but you're not going to get the same experience out of driving that car. You're also not going to turn as many heads. Every person that I've passed, either they're cutting the grass, they're driving their kids to a soccer game, moms, dads, anyone, dogs, cats, everyone's looking at this car. And that's kind of a cool thing, because you know, you spend money on something like this, and a lot of people don't want to be seen and flashy, and that's okay, but sometimes it is nice to turn some heads on something that you spend a lot of money on and that you really appreciate. So it is cool. It's a lot different from, you know, being in my Focus, where no one really cares unless you drive a Focus and you understand. But oh. Jesus. This is something else. So now I'm on I'm on a smoother road, and what I can tell you is it's much more enjoyable here because the weight in the car is thrown around better. The turns are much subtle, the bumps in the road are less intrusive. It's just much more enjoyable to drive. Look out, pigeon. What are you doing? Oh, almost. I saved it. I saved the birds. Saved it. I'm in second. I'm not hearing any burbles. You'd think there'd be more overrun in the engine to create those burbles, but I'm not hearing that. All right. One thing the owner warned me about is how long this hood is, because you can see the two slits, and then you can maybe see a couple inches after, and that's it. Meanwhile, there's another 2 feet on the hood. So anytime you have a a little curb you're parking by, you really have to be cognizant of how far you have and how far out that car extends. The steering wheels on these things, I've always been disappointed when I look at an Aston Martin steering wheel. I don't know why. I mean, you just look at it, it's just flat and it's a circle, there's no flat bottom. But after driving it, again, it's something that is not an issue at all. It's really, actually I'm gonna go straight here. It's a really comfortable wheel, and the paddles are perfectly mounted right behind your hands. The one thing I will complain about is the paddles don't move with the wheel. So when I'm turning and I need to shift, the paddles I have to move my hand off the wheel and grab a gear. But so the interior of this car, like I said, it's luxury. There's leather everywhere, and there's wood everywhere there isn't leather. And then there's aluminum centerpieces. There's no plastic in here, and you can tell when you tap on it, it's solid. It hurts your hand. It's just, everything is built so well in this car, and it has 30,000 miles on it. Just a little rotation around there. Got the back end out a little bit. I don't want to test it too much, but it is confidence inspiring, but the weight does push the car through turns. When the car rocks a little bit, you feel the front of the car, whereas a lot of the weight is, even though it's almost 50-50 balance, there's still a lot of weight on the and pressure on these tires to hold everything in place. Got a real sharp one here. That sound. But overall, I mean, what an incredible machine for that price point, from where it was, almost at $200,000. I feel very fortunate to be able to review and drive cars like this. It is an exotic car, but what I love about it is with hard work, you can attain it. You're able to enjoy the sound of a 6-liter hand-built V12 blister-up Backroads with the top down feeling like 50 Cent in 2005. The lines are timeless, the power is still relevant, the interior feels like $1 million, and it's a great release from your everyday life of 9 to 5 dealing with the bullshit that you're forced to be around because it pays the bills. I love this Aston Martin, and I hope all of you enjoyed the review. If you're still with me, leave a like on the video and be sure to subscribe. And as always, thanks for watching, and I will see you soon.